Hi, it's Joanne Davies, Spiritualist Medium again, just out for my evening walk once again. And if this is your first time along to the channel, then welcome and thank you for joining me. And if you're a returning visitor, then thank you for coming back. And I really hope the contents of my channel are helpful for you. So in today's video, I would like to talk about names in mediumship. And students ask me about how to get names all the time. It's a very, very common question. And I feel a question that to give an answer to isn't really a straightforward answer. So I'm going to break it down into a few different components just to try and make it easier for you to understand where I'm coming from. So what I'm going to say first and foremost is that a name itself is not necessarily good evidence from spirit. And yet a lot of people think it's the mecca of mediumship, that it is the golden nugget that they're waiting for, and that if they can give a name to their recipient, then that's their job done, in a sense. And what I would say is that for me, when I was first on the path of development, I could get names really easily from the very beginning. And there could be a whole myriad of reasons why, which I'll go into in greater depth in a moment. But just to say that I did get names very easily to begin with, and it wasn't because I was trying anything special or doing any special techniques. It was just that the names came naturally to me because I would think, first and foremost, I'm good with language. I enjoy reading. And also at the time I was working in a profession where I was dealing with people's first and surnames every single day and people's addresses, because at that time I was a district nurse. And so I was looking for names and addresses in my waking, conscious, normal daily life. So therefore, when I came to look for names in my sort of subconscious mediumship capacity, they came very, very easily to me because it was something that was mirrored in my personal daily life, if that would make sense. So when students ask me about getting names from spirit, I think there are lots of reasons why some students find it hard to get names. So I will go into that in a moment. But before I do that, I would like to also stress the fact that names in themselves are not exactly good evidence. Now, you do get some recipients who you could give every bit of fine detail to about their loved one in spirit, and they would still go away unhappy because you didn't give them their name or their nickname or the code word. And you just can't change some people, that's the way they are. But I feel for the majority of people, if you do a good job of describing the essence of their loved one, and you give accurate details about finer details, more subtle things about the person, things that you couldn't possibly know, then the person will go away convinced that you've brought evidence of their loved one, whether you've mentioned their name or not. But yet getting names does seem to be this golden nugget that people are looking for. So what I would say is if names do come easily to you and you're only in the first few stages of mediumship, what I would say is don't allow yourself to fall back on that, because I did at the beginning, and I didn't realise how detrimental it was to the development of my mediumship. So because I was getting names so easily, I was lazy then about going for other finer details, because I could just look at someone and say, I've got your father here, his name's Henry, and he had a heart attack. And passing conditions were easy for me as well, because I was a nurse, so I was used to dealing with these sorts of conditions. And so it made me really lazy in the development of trying to get other information from spirit. But what I would say is that if you are desperate to get names, then there are techniques that you can use to try and enhance your ability to perceive names. So like anything in mediumship, it is a mirror or a parallel to your waking conscious life. So the things that you do in your ordinary life will be stored in your memory bank, if you like. And so the spirit world are easily able to use these things. So, for example, if you read books and absorb the names of the characters, both the first and the surnames, or if you pay attention to customers' names, if you deal with them on a daily basis in your job, pay attention to the first and surname of a singer that you like, for example. So just to give an example of that, spirit often work with me through music because I'm musical. And when I was a teenager, I used to buy the album covers, the albums, which you really can't get anymore. And I would look at the inside sleeve of the LP and read all the details, and I would find out the names of the singer and the other band members, both their first and their surnames. So if you do things like that, then you might find yourself later on down the line doing a reading for someone, and all of a sudden you could have the Mamas and the Papas singing in your head. So if I heard a song randomly by the Mamas and Papas, for example, I might stop and think, could the name Cass be significant, or the name Elliot? Because the lead singer of the Mamas and Papas was Mama Cass Elliot. Now, of course, it could be the song that could be significant, but I would offer the song first, and if the person had no connection to the song and no memory of that, then I would think that the name might be being offered. Another example could be if Queen randomly started playing in my mind whilst doing a reading. It could be that the name Elizabeth is significant, or the name Freddie. So these are some of the ways that spirit might bring names to me, but also they might bring an image of a client that I've dealt with, maybe in my work, where I might see the first or the surname in my mind's eye. Or sometimes I might get a thought or a feeling of one of my own loved ones, and it could be their name that has some significance. And what I would say is that if you're a developing medium, sometimes you have a fear of offering names. And there are many working mediums who have got a fear of offering names as well, because they're frightened that they're going to be wrong. And what I would say in my experience is that when a spirit first steps forward, they may offer a name which is not their own name. So I might have a man step forward and I could feel that he was a tall man with broad shoulders. That might be the first thing I feel. I might smell the smell of, say, tobacco smoke. And I might have a thought of the flat cap that he wore. And then I might hear the name Bill, and the recipient might say no to me. Now, that might be because the man's name is actually John, but his brother who's standing there beside him was Bill. So what I would always say when I'm working with someone is, he's making me aware of this name, but I am not suggesting it's his name. It may be a connection to him. And you'll find that that will stop you from hitting brick walls with people. I also find that it's a good idea to offer a lot of detail about the spirit and about their life before offering the name. So I often leave the name to near the end of my contact, because that way it stops the person saying no to you straight away if you've got the wrong name. But what I find is that when spirit give me names, they'll give me sometimes their own name and sometimes they don't. But they might give me the name of 2 or 3 other people who are there with them in the spirit world. And that can be excellent validation for the person receiving the reading. Because, just to say I've got John here might not be great validation. But to say that I've got Eddie, Kathy and Mary with him in the spirit world, by connecting all of those people with him, is much better validation than just offering one generic name. Now, another time I was doing a reading for a grandmother who had lost her toddler grandson. And as I was working with this little boy in the spirit world, he showed me my friend's husband, who is a tiler. That's what he does for a living, tiles bathrooms and kitchens. So I said to the lady, I'm seeing Ian. Would you understand Ian? And she said no. And I went back to Spirit and said, why are you showing me Ian? And I then said to the lady, would you understand why I see a Tyler? And she started to cry. And it turned out that her little grandson's name was actually Tyler. But the way the spirit world brought it to me was to show me a Tyler, because that was the closest thing that they could bring to me to bring that name. So the spirit world will offer names and they sometimes seem random. And when you're developing, that can be scary because you might offer these names and get a no in response. So what I would say is remember that nothing the spirit world offers you is ever really random. It's usually got some meaning or connection. And it's either because you're too frightened to say it and risk being wrong, or because you're misinterpreting it, that you'll get no's from people. So, you know, do the work with the spirit world. Do what you can in your waking conscious life to be more aware of people's names. When you meet someone, you know, obviously once coronavirus is past, not right now, but once this is all past, if you can, shake their hand and say, hi, I'm Joanne, nice to meet you. And so they'll offer their name to you. You know, pay attention to people's nicknames as well, and see if you can get a sense of nicknames, because once they're in your consciousness, then the spirit world is able to use them. Read books and pay attention to characters' names. Listen to music and songs and pay attention to band members' names, because all of these things will help you to absorb these names into your consciousness. And that in itself will make it easier for you to be aware of names. But ultimately, don't be frightened to offer a name. If you offer a name and they say no, then that's fine. They might not know who the person is whose name you're offering. And that's happened to me before as well, where I've maybe brought someone's mother through and I've said X, Y and Z, and I've said she's telling me that, for example, Catherine is with her in the spirit world, and the person has said no to me. But they've then went away and they've come back to me a week later or so and said, do you know what, I went and spoke to my auntie and she said that my great granny's name was Catherine and I didn't know. So nothing the spirit world offer you is ever a wasted thought. Bear that in mind. If they put it into your mind, then they're putting it in your mind for a reason. And if you get it wrong, it's either because you're misinterpreting it, or sometimes it's even because the recipient just isn't thinking about who you're talking about, or they simply just don't know. But getting names from Spirit is as easy as getting anything else from Spirit. It's about being open to it. It's about opening your mind and saying to your loved ones and guides in Spirit, I'm open to receive names. First names, surnames, middle names, and nicknames, and pets' names. And say, I'm open to receiving these names. Please bring them into my conscious awareness as I'm working with your loved ones. And if you say that to them before every reading, then they will do that for you, because ultimately it's a team effort. You and your spirit team are working together, so don't forget to ask them for help and include them in every reading that you do. Don't forget to thank them for coming. And don't forget that they need good people to be the voice of Spirit. So bear that in mind and just have confidence and just go for it. So I hope this video is of help to you. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please share with your friends, and please subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get notifications every time I post another video. So take care, and if you want to leave any comments in the comments box as well, please do. If there are any other videos you'd like me to make, just pop it in the comments and I'll make some videos around that for you, because this is your channel to help you with your development. Okay, take care and thanks. Bye bye.